Hi, Lizzie. It's great to see you, and welcome to the Deloitte virtual studio. So we're gonna conduct a virtual interview today for the Alumni Upfront interview series. It's great, great to see you and what you've been doing since you left the firm.
So I was part of Arthur Andersen in the year 2000, which feels like a very long time ago now, and after that, I was a scholar. So Deloitte very kindly sponsored me through university, and I went to work in sales at Mars, and then I went to work at Diageo in marketing. So working on some of the biggest drinks brands in the world, which was awesome. But I kind of had an itch that I wanted to scratch. So I went off by myself and started a little marketing agency. And then following that, I decided I wanted to do something different again. And so we kind of pivoted the business and started Hoxby, which is all about people working where and when they choose and being judged on their output. So essentially turning the world of work on its head.
Fabulous. So I mean, you mentioned Hoxby and that model. What is the work style movement, and why is that important to you?
So the first thing I should do is explain work style. So the concept of work style is being able to choose where and when you work and being judged on your output. So essentially a meritocracy. For me, that was important because when I had the first of my 3 children, my eyes were kind of opened to pervasive inequalities in the workplace, where previously I'd lived in a bit of a bubble and thought the world was equal. When I had my son, I found that the world was not equal. And I also started seeing plenty of other people who, for various different reasons, were also excluded from the workforce. And the 9 to 5 classic working day is really a hangover from the industrial working age. And that is 200 years old now. We're in a digital era, and we've never seen that more than during the coronavirus pandemic. And I think that's been a proof to everyone that actually you can work somewhere away from other people, and you can work when it suits you around caring commitments, and you should be able to be judged on your output. And that's a model that Hoxby has been living for the last 5 years. So we're a purpose-led organisation. We started with the principle of wanting to create a happier, more fulfilled society through a world of work without bias.
Superb. That's a fabulous success, Lizzie. I mean, maybe you could tell us about some of the successes and some of the challenges faced by Hoxby in having that remote workforce.
Yeah, so I think the successes are on an individual level. Hoxby has been transformative for some of the people within the community. The widespread adoption of work style would provide access to work for millions of people that would otherwise be excluded from it. And we have some of those people in the community at the moment, and that's really inspiring. The other thing is being able to bring together teams of diverse Hoxbys in order to deliver exceptional work. And that has been incredible. I think for us, those teams wouldn't otherwise be able to come together. And we always have this kind of goal in life that one day Hoxby will be able to solve an unsolvable problem by bringing together people who couldn't otherwise have been put together in one room.
So Lizzie, so how do you motivate then a remote workforce? Because that, as you said, you're the prototype, and I guess you're having to kind of break new ground in some of these things.
Yeah, and it's funny because we've been doing this for 5 years, and it's only now I think we realise how much we know, because we've been kind of experimenting as we go, and suddenly we found actually everyone's interested to talk to us about our experiences. And we have an arm of Hoxby called Future Proofing, where we consult to other organisations on this. And as part of that, we've published a series of articles, but one last week, on 5 rules for leading remote teams. So our kind of key 5 rules, just to whiz through those. The first one is don't be paranoid, which I think a lot of people are. Set a few mandatory rules around communication. Use video when you can, as we are now. Be explicit in everything you say, because you don't have the extra body language or nuances of picking things up. And trust. There's so much about trust, but I think that swift trust and then turning that into really earned trust makes a big difference. Rule number 2, don't expect the workforce to always be on. So important. I talked already about work style, and I think we hold that really hallowed, but make work style a core part of your values and judge people on their output. But also lead by example. So I think the leadership level and how they work remotely and flexibly is what everyone else looks to as the norm. So rule 3 is recognize that productivity is an individual thing. So measure by output, not by time spent online. make sure that you understand that work isn't always done at a desk. So don't always be looking for that green dot. I don't mean the Deloitte green dot, I mean the green dot to show that you're active. In order to judge people on whether they're working. Some people might go for a walk around the block, and that might be when they have their real sense of inspiration. So understand that productivity is individual. Fourthly, help your key team kick those old habits. I'm appalled by the number of organisations that have moved from being in meetings all day to being on calls all day. Working from home is not the same as remote working. And I think a lot of people thought, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll just work from home. That's not right. Remote working involves working in a completely different way. And I think adopting that is really important. And then rule number 5, build personal connections. So just because we aren't all physically together, it doesn't mean that we necessarily need to socially distance. So at Hoxby, we're saying that we're physically distanced, but we're socially closer than ever before. So making time to have those small conversations, understand what's going on in someone's life.
That's fantastic. And Lizzie, I guess to round things off and bring it back to the concept of alumni and even broader professional networks. I mean, how would you reflect on how those kind of networks have helped you and Hoxby in the successes you've had?
Loads of ways. I mean, working at Arthur Andersen and the network I made there was amazing. I've made some lifelong friends who I'm in touch with. And who are great friends aside from anything. I also learnt loads about business models. I learnt that I cared about why I was doing something, not just what I was doing, which I think was really influential for me in setting up something that was a purpose-led social enterprise. I think that I also benefit from that network even now. People who I knew 20 years ago, there's a guy who just joined Hoxby who I worked with at Arthur Andersen 20 years ago. He lives in Australia now, and he's just joined as part of the community. So it's really amazing and inspiring to be able to keep those connections and also just to feel part of something.
Fantastic. Well, so Lizzie, it's been great to chat to you. I guess give you a chance if there's any kind of final thoughts you have about kind of the world we're in now and
so many. I think if there's one thing I think that could be the silver lining of the awful situation that we're in now, it would be that I hope that work style and the freedom to work where and when you choose and be judged on your output will be enduring, and that will fundamentally change the world of work in order to make leaps forward to eliminate bias in the workplace and drive diversity and inclusion. So we have to hope.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a fantastic ambition, and I'm fairly certain you'll be right. I think things are changing, and that could become the norm rather than the exception. Fantastic, Lizzie. A real pleasure to catch up with you and see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and look forward to connecting back when some of this has calmed down a little bit.
In real life at some point. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, no, take care.
Bye.